Amy Bradley vanished from a cruise ship, but what happened after her disappearance is even more terrifying than the disappearance itself. Imagine being Amy's family, exhausted, desperate, clinging to hope, only to receive a message so disturbing, so threatening, that it changed the direction of the entire investigation. A message that didn't just warn them, it tried to silence them. But here's the question that shakes the entire case. Who would warn a grieving family to stop searching for their missing daughter? And why would they be afraid of the truth being found? Picture the quiet late-night moments when Amy's parents replay every memory. The last hug, the last smile, the moment she walked out of her room on that cruise ship, not knowing it would be the last time they'd ever see her. Just when investigators believed the case was about to break open, a single clue surfaced. A clue so unexpected, it flipped the entire story upside down. It felt like the Maura Murray case all over again. Just when answers seemed close, a new twist exploded and changed everything. A witness claimed they saw Amy alive, but the location they mentioned made absolutely no sense. And just when that was being investigated, a new threat appeared. Quiet, subtle, but powerful enough to stop an entire family in their tracks. What secret was someone trying to hide? Did Amy discover something on that ship? Why did the warning come only when the search got too close to the truth? And the biggest question, was the warning protection or intimidation? There is a theory inside officially documented investigative discussions that raises an unexpected possibility. What if the warning that reached the Bradley family was not an act of intimidation, but an urgent attempt to shield Amy from being moved or harmed? What if someone who had access to sensitive information saw the family getting close, saw movements that were too public, and feared that any sudden pressure would place Amy in an even more vulnerable position? There are analysts who believe that the warning might have come from someone who knew Amy was alive, but also knew that her safety depended on absolute silence. The Jaws photograph, a single image that traveled across invisible highways, changed everything for many who followed this case. To some it was proof, to others a cruel hoax. But the photo's existence forced investigators to ask the question, who benefits from creating an alternate life for a missing woman? The image showed a young woman in a constrained environment, photographed as if cataloged. There were small things, a distinctive tattoo on the shoulder, an old scar, a pattern of lighting that matched Amy's known marks and mannerisms. For the Bradley family, the photo was an acute pain. For investigators, it was a thread worth pulling. As detectives pursued the image's origin, they found links running like faint veins to Caribbean ports. Aruba, Barbados, Curacao, places frequented by ships and people who live between borders. These islands, for all their sunshine, have dark corners where travel papers are thin and identities can be shifted. Human traffickers and exploiters know how to pass a person from one place to another under different names. They know how to obscure travel trails, alter records, and place false narratives that keep families chasing shadows. But then something else surfaced. The possibility that the Jaws image was not just exploitation, that it was part of a larger system that created identities, documents, and stories to hide people in plain sight. Sometimes it is a cage, sometimes a lifeboat. The line between the two is dangerously thin. Investigative teams cross-reference timestamps, hotel receipts, and obscure social media mentions. They found patterns suggesting multiple women had been moved through the same channels. Women with different names, similar photos, similar backstories. That pattern suggests organization, not randomness. It suggests people who knew how to create credible lives for others, who understood what to remove from a record and what to rewrite. And then the names started to emerge. Not all were public. Many were buried in sealed reports. But where a name appears in a classified file and then in a frightened whisper on a family's phone, investigators stop pretending ignorance. If there was a network capable of erasing identities and carefully building new ones, then what was the motive? Protection? Profit? Or something worse, the deliberate, systematic removal of people from the world they knew? This is the question that will not leave the room. If Amy Bradley is alive, who decided to cut her from the lives that loved her? Who believed they knew better than parents, better than the law, better than a woman herself? Consider the voice that warned the family to stop. If it were a protector, they may have seen the small, fragile threads of a life that could be broken by attention. If it were an intimidator, they may have been ensuring that the family's search never led to a place they could no longer control. Either way, the consequences are the same. A woman lost, a family living inside a question, investigators stuck between hope and dread, and somewhere within this silence, there are people who know far more than they tell. And now the final aching thought, the final cliffhanger that lingers. If a network of identity keepers existed, if there were people entrusted with either protecting or controlling Amy, then every familiar act, a phone call to a cousin, a trip to a Caribbean island, a friend's casual comment, could become a signal that hurt or helped her. This is why the Bradley family's silence after that warning makes sense, even as it breaks our hearts. Because sometimes not knowing feels safer than knowing the steps of someone who might be watching. We leave you with that unsettled question because some stories do not end with full answers. They end with a promise that one morning, perhaps, someone will decide the truth is more important than comfort. If you are out there, Amy, or if someone who loves her is listening, the world is still watching, and we will not stop asking.